Two cousins that couldn't be more different than each other take a tour in Poland leading up to a visit to their grandmother's house, who was a Holocaust survivor. And they're on a Holocaust tour, and they're extremely different people. Real Pain was written and directed by Jesse Eisenberg, and stars himself and Kieran Culkin as the cousins. Jesse Eisenberg plays he does what he does best and what his type is, basically, which is that anxious, kind of uptight, withdrawn, restrained kind of person, while Kieran Culkin is this very outgoing and kind of charismatic guy who, while he can be very intense, does a good job of winning people over, and can be just a lot. He can be very intense in more ways than not. I'm a big fan of these movies always when it's just something simple and it feels like it could totally happen in real life, and the awkwardness of that. I think what I love so much about these types of movies where it's just people, really just talking and things being very normal, nothing being no big, moments where people are, getting killed or something, nothing like so over the top in that way, and it's a very simplified kind of slice of life storytelling. I've always been a fan of that. I've been in a slice of life storytelling since I've been acting myself and doing theater since I was younger and shit, and I just was always drawn to those types of stories. Give me the talking stuff always. If it was good, especially, and this one is very, very well written, but yeah, the awkwardness of that stuff. Like there's so many moments where you are genuinely like anxious about what Kieran Culkin's character Benji is going to do. That David and Benji are the cousins, and yeah, Benji is just this. He totally deserved the Oscar for this, by the way. He was incredible, Kieran Culkin, and just knew what to bring to this kind of character, because this character is very just overly present in whatever room he's in, whatever space he's in, whoever he's around. He's extremely present, and he's so lovable in a lot of ways. But then he can be so frustrating. You're like worried, and it's like kind of interesting to watch that. For me, it's interesting to watch that because I relate to that so much, and I've been that person. He's a very extreme version of how I've been, and maybe I have had moments like that. But I've seen a lot of. It was just interesting being on the other side of that and feeling very like uncomfortable, like, oh God, like what is he gonna say next, or what's gonna happen next? But he's right a lot of the times. Like Benji's character comes off across as like kind of not mean, but he comes across as just like so direct and so honest, and that can be very off-putting for a lot of the because he like says something to a tour guide at one point, says stuff to the other people, and it's just like kind of like it just kind of he's unpredictable in that way. You don't know what to expect with that. So he is right, but the way he goes about it is very it clashes with how the polite adult world is, and when people are very conscientious of these things. I really I love when movies are and when stories in general are just kind of, it's just humanity holding up a mirror to humanity and showing it to itself, and that's what this kind of does. It felt very personal. Felt like Jesse Eisenberg, like a huge theme of it obviously is Jewish people from Poland and the Holocaust and all that stuff, and I wonder how much of that is, if he actually has a relationship like that with one of his family members or a cousin of his. And if it, it felt so personal, I'd be surprised if it wasn't at least inspired by certain things that Jesse Eisenberg has experienced. Absolutely knocked it out of the park with having both roles of the writer, director, and the starring alongside Kieran Culkin in this. Super impressed with that. I really appreciate Jesse Eisenberg. He's got a great video about like how harnessing your anxiety can work for your benefit, and that really like spoke a lot to me. So I really like appreciate him in that way, because I can be super anxious in a lot of ways too. So that is all of it's very, very real. It's very direct and just believable. I love when a story is believable more than anything, where I feel like I'm not really watching a movie. And that's like how I felt when I was watching this. I just felt like I was witnessing all this happening to these characters and not really, you know, it's just like it just has that kind of feel where it doesn't doesn't feel so overly produced, which is a very important thing for me. When something isn't so overproduced and it just feels like it's going from one thing to the next in the best way that makes you feel like you can relate to it, makes you feel like you're really there. I love when I feel like I'm actually there witnessing and experiencing the things with characters and through the characters, and that's what this movie was to a T, honestly. I really appreciated the dialogue, like the moments that the movie has where the dialogue just kind of reveals a lot about the characters' backgrounds, or what's, like you find out a lot about David and Benji just kind of through things happening instead of it. There's something so cliched about stories feeling very expository, and I love when movies like that. I mean, this movie feels like it could have been released in the 2000s, like 90s or 2000s or something like that, because it's got such a 2000s indie movie feel, almost like, similar like Little Miss Sunshine or something like that. I love when a movie, oddly enough, like when a movie gives me comfort in how present it feels. Like this movie feels very present in it, and it's in what it wants to be. It's very like the tour itself is such a perfect vessel for everything, for the story to kind of happen, because it gives, it just kind of provides like every provides a place for everything to, or multiple places for everything to kind of unravel and kind of happen. The tour kind of represents the not even awkwardness, but the discomfort that Benji and David feel, kind of being so attached at the hip throughout the whole thing. And like how traveling with family can be, and how they talk to each other is very real, with how families talk to each other. Where I'm getting at with that is the way that it moves, and then the way that the dialogue kind of takes place in this, the way that the dialogue kind of slowly reveals things while this is like a tour, because it's like, there's all these people are meeting for the first time, so the tour is setting it in a tour is perfect for like just things kind of naturally being given that expository approach, like that's what I love when dialogue in movies or in any story is not forced in any way, and when information is given and background is given just kind of in the most casual way, like when it's kind of casually implemented, as opposed to a lot of movies, especially like sci-fi movies, or a lot of like what I'm saying, those overly produced movies, they're extremely like they make sure that everything in the story is super concise and explained as succinctly as possible. But when that kind of doesn't feel that, when it doesn't feel like the expository is being like shoved down your throat and doesn't feel like so forced, is one of my favorite things ever. And I think the dialogue in this alone, the way that the dialogue not only drives the movie, but it's you're just so anxious to see, or you're anticipating, and there's a certain apprehension of like, what is Kieran Culkin's character going to say? Or like, you're always nervous about what he's going to do, but also excited and kind of looking forward to it. It's this uneasy but excitable kind of nature to his character. And I really appreciate when stuff is, I like a lot. This movie has a lot of sequences where it's them just kind of talking as music plays over, and it's like you kind of get an idea of what they're saying. You don't like, it's it's not made so clear, but it doesn't have to be. You know, it's kind of like, again, you're in the background. I know I say this a lot, but that, yeah, like fly on the wall kind of thing, or just kind of experiencing it outside of the actual, outside of the character, when you're kind of seeing it from that third person point of view. This movie has a very good like back and forth where you're kind of intimately with the characters, and then you kind of feel like you're also, it almost feels like there are times where you are also a tourist and you're just kind of there with them, you know, in a foreign country or whatever. For me, at least, it would be a foreign. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I hope some of that made sense. What I was just saying, but yeah, the way that the movie feels, everything, the dialogue, and the fact that it takes place during a tour, everything just works so well and really flows nicely. It's an hour and a half. It is so quick. If you're looking for a good, simple, realistic story with just some good talking moments and good dialogue, good characters, great acting, this is definitely a movie for you. I watched it on, what did I watch it on? I think it was on Hulu. Yeah, I believe it's on Hulu right now. So yeah, check it out. A Real Pain. I love when I get to watch movies that are in the genre of movie that I can see myself making one day, and hopefully maybe one day I'll make something. I don't know if I will, but this movie is 100% like the kind of thing that I would be into making, or at least acting in or being a part of. So hats off to you, Jesse Eisenberg. You killed it. Kieran Culkin killed it. Everybody, even all the side actors, Jennifer Grey and all those side actors in the tour were fantastic. Such a small cast of main, of small cast throughout the entire movie, really, not even just main characters. But yeah, check this out. I think you'd like it if you're into those types of movies.